Alright. One div Juggernaut. T17. This one is more monster life. Unique bosses have increased damage, increased area of effect, reduce extra damage from critical strikes, petrification statues, rare mobs fracture, and rare mobs have 2 additional modifiers and 43% increased number of rare mobs. So the map should be a little bit tougher, and the bosses should be a little bit tougher. But I think we'll be okay. There still feels fine. Mobs that run away are annoying. Well, I suppose we should take this 30 div sale here. Little mid-video interruption. Gotta keep the funds going, make the builds happen. Although this one glove sale funds 31 div builds, but that's okay. Back into the map. I mean, the damage is still really solid from the Juggernaut. We're using Vigilant Strike, so that is a unique strike skill that costs endurance charges to reset its cooldown, similar to Flicker Strike with Frenzy charges, or Flicker Strike of Power with power charges. But Juggernaut Ascendancy allows us to generate a ton of endurance charges, so as you can see, we don't really have too much of a problem with generating those charges. I don't know why we're always doing this on big Rogue Exile maps. Change our Atlas tree once in a while. But, I mean, damage is still good. Survivability feels very solid. Gonna die? Let's go find some bosses. We're ignoring the shrines, just so that there's no shrine buffs being brought into the boss. As you can see, we can dive into pretty much anything in here and survive fairly well. Oh where has my boss gone at? Here they are. The bosses do a lot more damage, so make sure that you keep your punishment curse up, because that also is a defensive curse. And you just have to cast one Arcanist Brand about every 12 to 13 seconds. The Arcanist Brand casts curses over the duration of 3 seconds. The curses last 11-ish seconds. So uptime on them is really easy. You also need to keep your Blood Rage up and your Smite Aura debuff up, and then just use your Tincture on cooldown. They got a few buttons to play with, but nothing too spammy. Even with, what is it, what's our extra boss damage here? Doesn't look like we got just extra boss life. Don't forget about your execute. Typically kill Chevron second, but we do need to go and kill these monoliths. Killed the Eldritch, she spawns these monoliths. Each one of them puts a debuff on you. The red one makes you take increased damage, so it is recommended to kill the red one first. Same thing as before, keep your curses up, keep your Blood Rage rolling, keep your Smite Aura active. Smite Aura you're going to press once every 6 seconds, Blood Rage you're going to press once every 12 along with your curses. Unfortunately, monoliths appear to be curse immune, so we don't get our petrification damage bonus, or sorry, punishment damage bonus against them. And we're a Juggernaut, so the petrification statues don't really do anything to us that are on the map. Otherwise, this would be a nightmare. Once the red one is down, go to the purple or the green one. These are both just damage debuffs, and so you want to kill them to speed up killing the other two bosses and then the final boss. Versus A-Bomb, you absolutely want to kill Dodri first, because if you don't do that, whenever you kill Dodri, these monoliths will spawn, and if there are 2 or 3 other ghosted bosses up, they absolutely wreck you. So there is a priority kill order for this little encounter here. So I prefer Dodri, Chevron, and then Malagaro. Come on, little monolith. Here we go. Find the green one here. And the green one is just a debuff to your damage. I think the purple one is a debuff to your attack speed. Again, we prefer to kill Chevron second. It looks like she accidentally died to splash while we're killing the altars, so that is very nice. Careful with this explosions from those orbs. If you start to get low from some other abilities during the fight, you need to leap away from those. because they do a pretty significant amount of damage whenever they explode. You sure are timing that slam with those explosions a little very much more frequently than we would like. Nope. That is a prime example of sometimes you just gotta jump away. That's okay, we're okay with a portal. We don't need all the portals, but occasionally we do need one. Oof. Or two. This is the hardest part of the fight, whenever you got two of these ghosted, immortal bosses up at the same time, and you've got one of the mini bosses left. And last boss. Now this guy's not too complicated. You're basically just going to avoid standing in any of the puddles. The Dodri gives him a buff that puts puddles on the ground that mirror the effects of the totem that we killed earlier. The worst one, of course, is the red one, which causes you to take increased damage. Now, the rest of these abilities we should just be able to face tank as a Juggernaut. There goes the red puddle there. This 156% AoE means that we're going to be standing in everything that this guy throws across the room, but that's okay. As long as you don't get in the puddles, you should be able to face tank all this. And if you can't see the puddles, you can always look for your debuffs over here on the top part of the screen, and that'll let you know when you're standing in portals, because you'll start accruing debuffs. So there goes the purple one right there. And because we're running Punishment Curse, we will have a significant boost to our damage once you get this boss down below 50% life. In the meantime, this is just an example in lumberjacking. As always, keep your curses up, blood rage up, might aura up, stay out of puddles. And use your tincture on cooldown. Now we've got him in execute range, so he will start going down much more quickly. Almost. Don't forget about your coal. T17 clear, 1 div Juggernaut. Not quite as smooth as some of the other classes, but I think that was just RNG of explosions and slams all happening at the same time. Very, very nice. As far as gear goes, we have a Serrated Foil. This is a fairly high budget portion of the build. You spend about 50 to 60 chaos just on the sword here. Getting the sword is very straightforward. All you do is come over here, search for any one-handed sword. Can't type this morning. Any one-handed sword, we want elemental DPS, we want an empty prefix on it, and then we want to set a budget of about 20 chaos on the sword itself. And this is going to give you a bunch of swords that we're going to sort by elemental DPS, and you're going to take any one of these. This one right here is perfect. 10 chaos, 589 LE DPS. This is probably 100 LE DPS higher than this sword right here. And it has accuracy on it, which is kind of a nice addition. So you would buy this sword, and then you would go and craft hits cannot. And once you have hits cannot be evaded on the sword, you're done. This would be a 36 chaos, I think, for 3 exalted orbs plus the base cost of the sword. We are using a Crown of the Inward Eye. These are dirt cheap. We're using a Shaper Shield that we alt slammed to have 5% recover life when you block on it. That's a dirt cheap. We are using a very, very cheap enchant on the amulet, the Clever Thief Anoint, and 1 Chaos Carnage Heart. We're using some generic resistance plus damage rings. You can have whatever you want on here, but use your rings to fill out resistances and stats. Same with your belt, resistance and stats. Get some health on any of these. That's also a nice little addition to it. We are running Thunder Fist gauntlets for the added lightning damage on our 4-link attack. And then we are running Wind Scream Reinforced Greaves so that we have 2 curses, punishment, and elemental weakness on the build. For our flasks, we're using a tincture. Just alt roll a decent tincture. Very easy to make one of these. Elemental resistances is probably not ideal for the build. We'd rather have attack speed on this, or maybe even damage to low life to synergize with our curse. And then we're running a diamond flask, a granite flask, a jade flask, and an amethyst flask. Crit strike chance is nice. Evasion percentage is nice. Armor percentage is nice. Block and stun recovery doesn't really matter. I would get something like curse reduction would be way better there. But we just rolled these for relatively cheap. We're just looking for the gain charges when you're hit, plus something decent on the back of it. As far as our skills go, we are using Blood Rage along with Determination and Petrified Blood in our shield. We're running more duration with Smite so that we have to smite less frequently for our additional lightning damage. And then Leap Slam and Culling Strike tied to both Smite and Leap Slam so we can execute targets. For our helmet, we're running Punishment, Tempest Shield, Elemental Weakness, and Arcanist Brand. And our sword running Flesh and Stone with Arrogance support and a very, very low level Vitality, just to make sure that our life reserved is above the 55% threshold so that we can make sure that our leech never falls off of us because we never reach unreserved life cap there. And our main link is Vigilant Strike, Trinity, elemental damage with attacks, and multi-strike support. Multi-strike is very important with Vigilant Strike because you're getting 3 swings out of every endurance charge, and so it delays the time between needing an endurance charge to reset it. Trinity is very important because it's a huge amount of damage, and then elemental damage with attacks could be swapped out with just about any additional damage support skill right here. For our passive tree, we are going every endurance charge that we have access to. We're going every life node that we have access to. We're taking every life mastery for the additional life percentage from having 6 life masteries. Grabbing this frenzy charge here and this endurance charge damage right here. We're grabbing this whole wheel down here on shields for damage and block. We're grabbing block mastery and as the mountain here. We're grabbing shield mastery and sanctuary here. We're grabbing corrupted blood immunity and additional maximum elemental resistance here. We pick up Juggernaut as a way to path through the tree and to get some additional life and armor, and we are taking reduced extra damage from critical strikes here. So the tree is fairly straightforward. If you have any questions over any of this, though, just drop a comment down below. I'm happy to answer questions. There'll be a POB link in the comments as well. And if you have any more detailed questions, such as how to make sure that your petrified blood is set up properly, come by Twitch, and I'm happy to answer them. And that is our 1 div Juggernaut T17 map plus bossers. Thank you very much for watching. Y'all have a wonderful day.